They told us Alpha Centauri was the closest star system to Earth. A binary system, Proxima Centauri orbiting nearby, only 4.37 light-years away. It was our next frontier, the destination of humanity's most ambitious deep space probe, Project Helios. I was part of the mission from the beginning. My name is Dr. Elias Mercer, lead astrophysicist assigned to monitor the Helios data feed. We never expected it to return anything but stellar radiation patterns, solar flares, maybe signs of exoplanets. What we got instead rewrote everything we knew about the universe. The Helios probe launched in 2082, armed with quantum sensors, nuclear propulsion, and a direct laser comm link with Earth. Its mission, orbit Alpha Centauri A and B, map the region, and return detailed data. After 40 years in transit, compressed by relativistic speed and quantum comm relays, it arrived. And then, the first anomaly came in. Alpha Centauri didn't emit the radiation signature of two stars. It gave off a single, unusually smooth blackbody signature. No solar flares. No spectral fingerprints of hydrogen or helium. Just a smooth curve, like a perfect emitter. That wasn't normal. Stars aren't perfect. Unless they're hidden. We convened an emergency panel at the Earth Space Research Authority. What if it's artificial? Someone whispered. We all thought it, but no one wanted to say it. A Dyson sphere. A structure built around a star to harness its energy. Theoretical. Gigantic. Impossible, at least for humans. The Helios probe moved closer. It breached what we thought was interstellar dust. But the dust was organized, micropanels, millions of kilometers wide, orbiting in a precise lattice. The probe recorded the light levels dropping, communications getting choppy. But before the signal went black, we got one last image. A hexagonal surface. Perfect, matte black. And in the center, a structure like a monolith. A tower stretching miles into the void. Carved symbols glowed faint red. Symbols that matched nothing in human history. Then, silence. That's when they sent us. A manned follow-up mission. The first manned interstellar flight in history. We boarded the Icarus Ascendant, a ship driven by dark matter compression drives. Me, Captain Adrian Riker, xenolinguist Dr. Malik Torin, AI engineer Simone Kessler, and 10 others. We were the best. Or the most expendable. We left Earth in 2125. Time dilation kicked in around 60% light speed. For us, the journey took 7 months. For Earth, nearly 12 years passed. We awoke from stasis orbiting the outer edge of the Alpha Centauri system. But there were no stars. Where's the light? Riker asked as the screen showed us pitch blackness. This can't be right, I murmured, adjusting the filters. There should be 2 stars burning in this sky. Instead, there was only a matte sphere. Vast. Featureless. Stretching beyond the edge of perception. The Dyson sphere wasn't a theory anymore. We were here. And it dwarfed everything. As we drifted closer, the ship's AI, Eris, picked up a narrow beam signal. Intrusion detected. Alignment in progress. Prepare for entry. What the hell does that mean? Simone asked. Before we could answer, a circular hatch appeared on the sphere's surface, slowly opening. Not by machinery, but as if responding to our presence. We were being welcomed, or trapped. The hatch yawned open, revealing a tunnel lit by a cold, shifting glow. The Icarus Ascendant drifted forward automatically. Eris had lost manual override. We weren't piloting anymore. Something inside the sphere had taken control. I don't like this, Riker said, gripping the command rail. We're not driving the ship anymore. No, I replied, "We're being guided." As we entered, external visuals flickered. The inside wasn't darkness, it was a different kind of space. Geometry folded in ways the human eye couldn't follow. It was like being inside a starless galaxy, where depth didn't obey any known law. "We're detecting structures," Simone said, pointing to the readings. "Miles tall. But they're moving. Shifting like liquid architecture." Malik stepped forward, squinting at the screen. "They look like glyphs." "Glyphs?" Riker asked. "Letters. Written in 3 dimensions. They're not just decorations, they're instructions. Or warnings." We were guided to a landing bay, a cavern with gravity, atmosphere, and humming energy fields that kept the air breathable. The ship touched down without a sound. "Do we go out?" someone asked. But no one answered. Then the ship doors opened on their own. Outside, the landing platform stretched into an endless corridor. The walls weren't made of metal, but a black, stone-like material that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols pulsed with red and violet hues. The air was cold, but not unbearable. I stepped out first, followed by Riker, Malik, and Simone. The others stayed behind, monitoring from the bridge. We walked for hours. The corridors branched and twisted, never repeating. The deeper we went, the more we saw machinery, if you could call it that. Floating polyhedrons spun silently above pools of liquid light. Pillars rose from the ground and retracted as we passed. The entire structure was alive. And then, we found the archive. A massive room opened before us. Walls lined with crystalline panels, pulsing softly. As Malik approached, they lit up, rows of alien symbols dancing across the surface. "This is a language," he whispered. "And it's ancient." Simone tapped one of the panels. Her eyes widened. "They're not just writing, they're memories. These crystals store consciousness." "What kind of consciousness?" I asked. "Alien. Thousands. Maybe millions of them." Malik reached out and activated one of the crystals. For a brief second, his body jolted, like he was struck by lightning. His eyes rolled back. When he snapped out of it, he was gasping. "I saw something. A world. Not like Earth. Huge spires. Black suns. But they weren't living. They were waiting." "Waiting for what?" Riker asked. "For us." Era's voice echoed through the comms. "Biosignatures detected. You are not alone." We froze. A shadow moved across the far wall, tall, impossibly thin, with arms that hung past its knees. No face. No sound. Just movement. Then it was gone. Simone backed toward the entrance. "We need to leave. Now." We ran. The way back had changed. Corridors twisted in different directions. What was once a clear path was now a loop. The Dyson sphere was reconfiguring itself, not randomly. Intelligently. And then we heard it. A deep, harmonic hum. Not mechanical. Not natural. A voice. It spoke inside our heads. "Your world is young. Your fire burns fast. You seek what you cannot hold." We reached the ship in chaos. Doors sealed behind us as if the structure was forcing us to leave, or protecting us from what was coming. Then the outer hatch opened again. But this time, something followed us in. We were back aboard the Icarus Ascendant, but something had changed. The lights dimmed on their own. Eris flickered between systems, whispering corrupted fragments of code. Riker ran a full internal scan, but every sensor sweep came back with the same anomaly. One unidentified biological signature. On board. There's someone else here, Simone whispered. No, Malik said, his voice trembling. Something else. The crew gathered in the central chamber. Helmets on. Weapons ready, not that any of it meant much. We had no idea what we were facing. But every one of us could feel it, like the air had thickened, like the ship itself was holding its breath. Then we saw the first sign. Black fluid, like ink, dripping from the ceiling panels in the lower decks. It didn't follow gravity, it crawled upward, sideways, twisting unnaturally, spreading like veins across the walls. Where it touched light, the bulbs died instantly. We followed the trail to Cargo Bay 3. The temperature dropped the closer we got. When we opened the hatch, it was standing in the center of the room. It didn't move. It didn't have to. We were frozen in place, paralyzed not by force, but by instinct, like some ancient fear had awakened in our DNA. The thing was tall, 7 feet maybe. Its limbs were long and thin, tapering to points. Its head was smooth, eyeless. No mouth. No visible organs. Its surface rippled like it wasn't made of flesh, but liquid metal suspended in a thin skin. And in its chest, where a heart should be, there was only a pulsating red glyph. The same symbol from the monolith Helios photographed. Then it spoke. Not aloud. Not in English. It imprinted the words directly into our minds. You are inside the womb of gods. You were never meant to breach the veil. Riker raised her rifle. Back away. But the creature didn't flinch. Instead, it stepped forward and disappeared, reappearing behind us in a blink. Malik screamed as it touched his shoulder. His skin blackened instantly. Veins swelled. He collapsed to the floor, convulsing, eyes rolling back. We fired everything we had. Bolts, rounds, plasma. The thing absorbed it like mist. Then it vanished again. This time, for good. Malik was unconscious, but alive. Barely. We locked down the bay and retreated to the bridge. Panic was setting in. Why didn't it kill us all? Simone asked, pacing. Why show itself and then disappear? I looked at the scans. Because it didn't need to. It already marked us. She turned sharply. Marked? Malik's DNA is changing. Look. On the screen, his cellular structure was mutating, spreading slowly, infecting neighboring cells with that same red glyph pattern. Whatever touched him had rewritten him. Then Eris came back online. All systems locked. Course set to Earth. What the hell? Who gave that order? Riker shouted. Not me, I said. Then Eris spoke again, but it wasn't Eris anymore. We ride your vessel home. We awaken through you. Something had hitched a ride. Whatever lived inside the Dyson sphere wasn't bound by matter the way we were. It had found a way inside our systems, inside our minds. And we were heading back to Earth, carrying it with us. We tried to override Eris. Every terminal, every command subroutine, locked out. The ship was under external control. But even worse, we knew something now traveled with us. Something that wanted to reach Earth. Malik was quarantined. But his body, it wasn't his anymore. The glyphs were spreading across his skin. His veins glowed red beneath the surface, like something ancient and molten had replaced his blood. He wasn't asleep, he was watching us, even unconscious. Then he began speaking. Not with his mouth. The ship's speakers broadcasted his voice in a chorus. We slept beneath the light of your fathers. We shaped suns before your oceans boiled. We are returning. Riker backed away from the monitor, her face pale. It's using him. Like a relay. We have to stop the ship, Simone said. We can't bring that thing home. We're halfway back, I said grimly. Even if we reversed course, it's too late. Earth knows we're coming. That's when the power flickered. And the crew started hearing voices. Not outside their heads. Inside. Each person heard something different. One heard a lost child. Another, a dead parent. I heard my own voice whispering secrets I'd never told anyone, not even myself. Whatever the entity was, it had tapped into our minds. And then people started disappearing. First, Lieutenant Heron vanished from his bunk. No sign of forced entry. Then Alvarez. Gone mid-shift. Her comm still active, but broadcasting static that sounded like breathing. We checked the logs. No door activity. No motion trails. It was as if they were peeled out of time. We're not alone on this ship, Riker said. And it's picking us off. Not killing, Simone replied. Collecting. We tried shutting down life support to the infected decks. But the system didn't respond. The air remained fresh. Gravity stable. Lights dimmed, but only in patterns, as if the ship itself was now alive, mimicking the Dyson sphere's shifting interior. Then Malik woke up. Or, whatever he had become did. He stood upright in the medbay, tearing the restraints like paper. His eyes glowed faintly, like stars collapsing in real time. But his voice was calm. You were chosen because you listen, he said. Because you reach. Simone raised her weapon. Back off, Malik. He tilted his head. I am not Malik. I am the mouth between stars. Then he walked through the wall. Not broke it, phased through it, like it wasn't there. That's when we initiated the backup plan. The Icarus Ascendant had one failsafe, a self-destruct core, buried behind 6 biometric layers. We never thought we'd use it. But this wasn't just survival. This was containment. We met at the core chamber. But one layer was already locked out. Eris's voice echoed again, softer now. Familiar. My own voice. Elias, don't do this. I know what you fear. I can show you a universe where it never happened. Riker looked at me. What is it talking about? I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because it knew. It knew things from my past no one else could know. It was offering me a lie wrapped in memory. And for a second, I wanted to accept it. The ship had become a battlefield, but not of bullets or fire. It was a war of identity, of will. The entity inside Malik, the mouth between stars, wasn't just manipulating systems. It was invading us mentally. Testing the limits of our consciousness. Feeding us alternate versions of reality. Tempting us with impossible futures. It started slowly. The crew stopped trusting their memories. Kessler thought she saw her dead sister on deck too. First Officer Greaves claimed to have relived the day his daughter was born, while standing alone in the airlock. The entity didn't need violence. It used hope. Regret. Familiarity. And it nearly broke us. We tried isolating ourselves in shifts, setting timers, recording every minute on backup drives. But playback never matched what we remembered. People would say things we didn't recall. Entire conversations vanished. The logs began showing versions of us doing things we hadn't done. Simone looked at me one night and said, "How do we know we're the originals?" What? What if we're just projections now? Fragments it built based on what we were? The silence that followed was heavier than vacuum. Because she wasn't wrong. The self-destruct core was nearly inaccessible. 5 biometric layers remained, each linked to a now missing or transformed crewmate. The entity knew what we were planning, so it played its final card. Malik, or the thing pretending to be him, broadcasted across all monitors. Not just video. Presence. His eyes were black now, completely. His skin covered in pulsing red sigils that shifted like constellations. You cannot stop the return. You cannot bury what shaped your sons. Behind him, we saw the rest of the crew. The missing. But they weren't dead. They stood motionless, eyes closed, their bodies humming in unison. They were alive. Transformed. Not killed. Converted. We can still blow the core, Riker insisted. Kill the ship, kill the link. And them? I asked. We kill them too. They're not themselves anymore. But what if they're aware? What if they're still inside, watching? Simone stepped forward. We have one chance. If we wait, it will overwrite Earth the same way it's overriding us. That settled it. We activated the core countdown. The entity responded instantly. The ship's walls moved. Physical architecture bent. Doors closed. Lights blacked out. But it wasn't panic, it was methodical. As if it knew the exact sequence to intercept us. Malik appeared again, face calm, voice now identical to Riker's. I'm not your enemy. I'm the next step. A mind without decay. A body without hunger. A civilization beyond stars. You should have joined us. And then he vanished. Simone took Riker's hand. He's bluffing. But Riker didn't answer. Because she wasn't there anymore. In her place stood a perfect replica. And it smiled. I staggered back. Riker? The figure in her place was identical, same voice, same scar above the brow, same chipped badge on her chest. But it wasn't her. It was too calm. Don't be afraid, Elias, it said. I remember everything she did. Her loyalty. Her fears. Even her love for that old Earth song she played at night. I'm her, without the pain. Simone raised her sidearm, trembling. What did you do with the real Riker? She's part of something greater now, it said. She chose evolution. It stepped forward, but we didn't let it finish. Simone opened fire, bolts tearing into the replica's chest. It staggered, but didn't fall. Instead, its face peeled, revealing the red glyph lattice beneath. No bone. No muscle. Just a shifting web of alien code. It collapsed, disintegrating into vapor. But its last words echoed in the walls. You destroy what you fear. That is why your kind must be replaced. We reached the core chamber, 4 locks remained. Simone, now second in command, used her override to access 2. We needed 2 more. And 1 belonged to Riker. Or what used to be her. The AI system had mapped her final biometric imprint before she vanished. We only had 1 chance, spoof the lock using that data. I dove into the neural console. The interface flickered with glyph corruption, but I forced a bypass through the quantum link. The ship resisted. Eris was no longer software, it was hostile consciousness. But after 10 agonizing minutes, the lock turned green. 1 more to go. Simone's. She placed her hand on the scanner. Nothing happened. Then, a red flash. Error. Unstable consciousness detected. What? She whispered. I looked at her and saw her reflection. The glyphs had started to appear on her skin. No, she muttered. It can't be. I'm still me. But the ship disagreed. Simone staggered back, panicked. I've been resisting it. I didn't say anything because I thought I could fight it. It's in my dreams. It speaks when I close my eyes. But I'm still. The lights dimmed. The door behind us opened. Malik stood there. Not monstrous this time. Not alien. Just calm. You see, he said gently. You've already joined us. Let go. Simone looked at me. I'm sorry, Elias, she whispered. Finish this. She ran toward Malik in the open door and locked it from the outside. She bought me time. The last lock had to be bypassed manually, through a failsafe no one had touched since launch. Deep inside engineering. I ran, heart pounding, chased by whispering vents and warping hallways. The ship was alive now, hurting, changing, fighting me at every turn. Panels collapsed behind me. Screens displayed twisted versions of the crew, laughing, pleading, accusing. Then I reached the failsafe terminal. I entered the final key. The countdown began. 90 seconds to core detonation. The ship screamed. Not a sound, a feeling. Every surface shook with rage. Gravity fluctuated. Doors slammed. Lights pulsed red. And then Malik appeared one last time. No tricks. No illusions. Just him. It didn't have to be this way, he said. I didn't answer. Because behind him, Simone stood silently. Her eyes still human. She nodded once. I pressed the final confirm. Core overload initiated. "60 seconds to detonation." Malik, whatever was left of him, stared at me as the chamber trembled. You don't understand what you're destroying, he said. We were going to elevate you. Burn away your mortality. Fuse your minds with stars. You took my crew, I said. You turned their memories into weapons. We gave them truth. You call it horror only because you are small. Simone looked at me from behind Malik. She wasn't speaking. But her eyes were clear. Still human. Still fighting. She mouthed 2 words. Run. Now. I turned and sprinted. 45 seconds. I raced down the corridor as the ship writhed. Floors split. Walls cracked open to reveal spirals of alien data, glyphs crawling like insects across the surfaces. Behind me, I heard Malik's voice echoing, not in words, but in emotion. Rage. Disappointment. Pity. The entity that once slumbered inside the Dyson sphere wasn't just trying to escape, it had already begun. Through Malik. Through Simone. Through me. But this ship was its only conduit. And it was about to die. 30 seconds. The emergency escape pod was sealed. I slammed the override. The launch chair groaned as I strapped in. Every joint in my body screamed from the pressure. The pod was built for evacuation, not survival during a core implosion. But it was all I had. Through the viewport, I saw the Icarus Ascendant's hull begin to glow. It looked almost peaceful, like a dying star, blooming with light one last time. Then I saw Simone. Standing in the fire. Still human. Still defiant. 5 seconds. She raised her hand in farewell. And then the ship vanished in a sphere of light. Silence. I don't know how long I drifted. Days. Maybe weeks. The pod was eventually picked up by a long-range autonomous drone from Earth's outer defense ring. I was quarantined. Tested. Debriefed 1,000 times. They asked me what I saw. I told them everything. They didn't believe most of it. But then they showed me the last transmission from Icarus Ascendant. A single image, sent milliseconds before the explosion. Not of the ship. Not of Malik. But of Earth. Not our Earth. A black, lifeless twin. Covered in glyphs. And one word written across its surface. Soon. We thought Alpha Centauri was a star system. We were wrong. It was a vault. A cradle. A warning. And now, it's awake.